it can be tough. But look, we do have some sad news to get to this week, and it would be remiss for us to not talk about it, considering the fact how much we talk about Marvel. And that was the passing of Chadwick Boseman. And he, of course, was Black Panther, among other things. And so Katie, kind of run us through what happened and what we know so far and that kind of stuff.
In terms of what we know so far, basically it's come out that he was diagnosed like 4 years ago with stage 3 colon cancer.
Yeah.
Kept it secret, kept it like within his circle really well, actually. Like fair play to all his family and friends who respected his wishes and didn't say anything. And he pushed through it. He like created amazing movies. Obviously, Black Panther is right up there. And I know you guys aren't the biggest fans of Black Panther, but like whatever, it's great. But I'd say his performance in as the character definitely overall is phenomenal. With particularly Civil War being my favorite. Like I think that was like the most badass he was. But like especially now considering that he was essentially dying of cancer.
Yeah. Oh, that's what makes it unbelievable. The fact that he went off and did, because he was working pretty consistently for the past couple of years. Yeah.
But I think even regardless of like what your opinions are on the films that he did, like on Black Panther or whatever, like you can't deny the reach this guy had.
That's the thing.
Like, that's like undeniable. Like the effect
thing that once he's dead now, but he'll live forever.
Yeah.
That's kind of, and if there's any kind of solace to be taken from that, once you're in the Marvel universe as like an established character, you're never really going to die, right? So.
But like even just seeing it's kind of heartbreaking, but also really wholesome and heartwarming. It's just the amount of children, like especially like Black children, because obviously with him being an Avenger, they had representation, which was great. But like their tributes, you see all the little kids doing like the Wakanda salute and everything. It's just lovely. Like the amount of people that he inspired.
He will just go down in cinema history as an incredibly important actor for Black representation in cinema, being in one of the biggest franchises in history.
Yeah. And they're actually, as far as I can see, people are actually starting to petition Marvel now not to recast him and actually let T'Challa die and, have his sister take up the mantle.
That was kind of the plan anyway. Like now a lot of stuff that we heard in leaks from Marvel a couple of months ago makes sense. Because the plan was, from what I heard, was to retire Black Panther and have Shuri take over in much the same way that Jane is taking over as Thor in Phase 4, in Phase 5.
And maybe that
makes sense.
That kind of, hints at like maybe they knew a little bit about what was going on as well.
I think they did. I think they must have known. And now I think it makes way more sense because the plan kind of was that. And that's what I heard even after Endgame. I was like, well, it's weird to hear this because you think they'd want another movie, right? But now it kind of makes sense that they probably knew what was going on. But look, it sucks. It's unexpected. Colon cancer is one of the things that once you get it, that's it. It's kind of the same with pancreatic cancer.
Any of those cancers in your gut,
that's it. You're kind of
because they're so hard. They're so hard to catch early.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, and then it's heartbreaking because he's so young. It's like this kind of feels like when Bill Hicks died because it was just so out of the blue. Yeah. And he had pancreatic cancer, and you're like, oh my god, like wow.
Just because you brought him up, I literally just spent last night watching a documentary made by his brother.
No way.
Bill Hicks. Yeah. Like apropos, like I wasn't planning to talk about it, but it's just random that you mentioned it.
Well, that's that's what kind of went through my head. I'm like, this feels like when Bill Hicks died. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about that. Like, because I mean, like with Bill, for people who don't know, Bill had pancreatic cancer, and like when I think he was diagnosed at stage 4, so again, very, very sudden. Yeah, and like he basically, within like I think about 6 months, of him getting diagnosed, he announced that he was going to stop doing comedy. Wow. He had a couple of weeks where he was living with his parents again.
Yeah,
and then passed. It's terrible, like, but I mean, it's a similar thing here where it's just like it's so untimely, especially from someone whose like momentum was so heavily on his, like, where like it just seemed like his career was only starting to really kick off.
Yeah, he was kind of like going from strength to strength,
and that was it. And it's very much the same way where it's like they're cut down in their prime, and while they will live forever, it's still incredibly sad at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, that's and it's so weird because it wasn't like it was a suicide or that. It was literally just the man was sick.
It's just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gone. That was it.
Yeah.
And as well as that, like while he was fighting his own cancer, he was like visiting kids in hospital who also had cancer to like cheer them up, you know?
Yeah.
Which is just amazing.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
But yeah, so you know, it is sad, you know, and it's the Marvel tributes and stuff like that have been great. So like, you know, we give our best to his family and all the fans and stuff like that as well. But
it's given me more reason now to go out and just to find a way of checking out the new Spike Lee joint that he's going to be in.
Oh, there you go. You know, it's the only good thing I suppose that you have from something like this. When people work in the arts, their stuff kind of lives forever. You know, like look at Heath Ledger. You know, it's like
exactly
famous than he ever was. You know, but it just is what it is. Okay, guys. So moving on to something slightly happier. I did check out. Well, a lot happier. To be honest with you. It's Keanu